welcome to your next coding challenge entitled Equality of Three Values. You are to create a function that takes three integer arguments, a, b, and c in this case, and returns the amount of integers which are equal value. So see the examples. Notice that this returns 2 because you have a match for 3's here. So two of the three parameters match, so we return 2. In the next case, we have all 1's. Since all 3 match, we return 3. And in the final case, 3, 4, and 1, none of these match, so we return 0. And in the notes, it lets us know the fact that the function must return 0, 2, or 3 by nature of this kind of comparison. So let's go over to the code. Please pause the video now and come up with your own implementation. Resume when you're ready. Okay, so the straightforward thing to do here might be to make some kind of compound if statements, if checks, where I wouldn't recommend this, but if A equals B, then maybe you check to see if C equals B or A. It doesn't matter if they're equal, you can check against either one. Then you return 3, and then you got some kind of else if, and you get this kind of tree thing going on where you're mixing and matching, and to me that's pretty ugly and unnecessary in this case. And I think the complexity and the size of your cheat grows if you ever were to add another parameter. Imagine you make int d in here as well now. So that can get even uglier pretty quickly. So I wouldn't recommend doing this. You certainly can. It's not terrible in this case with only 3 parameters, but in general I think it's kind of a dirty way of doing it. I mean, in reality, we would be making this method ourselves, and I wouldn't even recommend passing the input this way as 3 separate integers. I would recommend passing a collection in here, maybe an integer array, where then all of a sudden your method works for inputs of many sizes. You could have one, well, 1 doesn't make sense, but you could have as low as 2, and you could have 10 or more. That's a nice, easy way to expand the utility of your method. And I don't think it's guilty. The thing you got to be aware of is where you try to do everything for every situation, and you get into scope creep, and you're trying to do too much, and that's not the case here. I think we can do that pretty cheaply and easily. But this is the method, their method, that they're going to run tests on. I'm not going to change the signature of it. Instead, inside here, I'll make my own collection. I'll call it values. And I'll say I'll make a new integer array of size 3 because there are 3 parameters here. And I'll initialize it with A, B, and C. Now that I have this array, I can use a property of enumerables. If you remember, the array implements the IEnumerable interface, which makes it enumerable. And so we have access to this distinct method. And you can see it returns distinct elements from a sequence. Hopefully you see where I'm going, but that's okay if not. I think it'll become clear soon. And note that it returns an IEnumerable of the same type. So you're getting a collection back with this. Note that. So we could say values distinct. So that's going to give us another collection, and it would basically remove any repeats we had. So if you can imagine that the inputs here were 2, 2, 3, our values distinct would return simply 2, 3. It would only be size 2, And since 2 is duplicated, it won't put it in more than once. It'll just give us the 2 and the 3. So if I have that, we know with these enumerables, they have a count property as well that we've used, that I'll invoke here, int num distinct. So I can get the number of distinct elements by creating a distinct set and then grabbing its count. And now I know how many distinct values are in this collection. And now I'll sort of do my if check with a much simpler scenario. I can say if num distinct equals 1, right? That would mean all 3 of these values matched. There's only one distinct value. I can say return 3. 3 of them match. And then I can do if num distinct equals 2. That means we had 1 match, right? So per the rules, per the instructions given, we'll return 2. 2 of the elements matched each other in this case. And if you didn't have these going on, return 0. All of the elements are different. So the distinct collection would be basically the same there. And for distinct, we have to bring in the link namespace. Let's do that. System link. Okay, that should be good. If you weren't aware, we've used count, but you can look that up too. That's here. Yeah, so we'll give this a run. I think we're good. Cool. All the tests passed. So yeah, I think this is a nicer, more readable way of doing this than having all the if-else checks. You know, this expands pretty easily to take on a size other than 3, which is nice. And maybe there are better built-in methods for doing this. You know, I chose distinct here, but if you found something that was more useful, definitely let me know. I hope this was helpful. As usual, hit me up with questions. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.